All right, warm welcome, everybody. Please get comfortable. You don't have to have your video on unless you want to, which is fine. Please sit or lie down for today's practice. Be comfortable. Those of you who've been joining regularly, welcome. And those of you who've come for the first time, also warm welcome. There's a question that was sent to me privately. Let me just address that. Last night, you said that we keep changing, but we also hear that it is impossible to change another. How are they both true? So these are two different things. We're talking about change as a basic reality of life. Our breath is changing, sounds are changing, smells are changing, tastes. Everything is constantly in flux and flow. All things are constantly in motion. That's what we mean by changing. And what you're talking about, changing others, it's mostly about your preference. You want them to behave a certain way and not a certain way. But even that's not stable, is it? Like they may, someone who's selfish can become selfless at some point. And someone who's selfless can be more selfish sometimes. There's no absolute quality that stays forever. And it's not true that it's absolutely impossible to change another. I think that's too much of an exaggeration. We can all influence each other, but we shouldn't rely on it for sure. Because if you get too hung up, if you put too much emphasis that other people have to be a certain way, you're definitely going to be disappointed. But definitely we do influence each other. And the best way to influence each other is by our own powerful example. So that's what I wanted to quickly say to this question before we continued. Hi, Nithya. It's been pleasant joining here every night. Thank you for organizing these meditation sessions. Thank you, Ruchi. Wonderful. All right, let's get started with today's session. I'd like you to sit comfortably, sit back, or lie down comfortably. For some of you, this is already quite late at night, so it's all right to fall asleep with this meditation. You'll probably have a better sleep or a yogic sleep. Yogic sleep is when you, it's not that deep sleep, but it's a very restful sleep. Today's practice is going to be inspired by the Tibetan tradition. It's called Bodhicitta. This is a practice that is taught to all Tibetan monks. And there's something in Tibetan Buddhism called Tulku. Tulku is a reincarnate Lama. You might have heard that Tibetan Buddhism, the monks will often predict, both monks and nuns will predict where to look for them after they die, which village to look for, or which direction to look for, and what signs to look for. And the Tulku is a reincarnate Lama because the Tibetan tradition, or the Mahayana tradition, which is focused on practicing lifetime after lifetime to develop certain qualities called paramitas, and practicing not only for one's own benefit, but for the benefit of all beings. And the Tibetans have taken it to the next level in terms of precision with which they can actually predict their own next rebirth. So it doesn't matter if you believe these things or not. It's not relevant to our practice, but just want to give you some background. And so Tulkus are reincarnate lamas, and it's very fascinating that in their past life, the person that they taught, their student, often takes on the duty of reminding their own teacher of what they had learned from them. It's a very beautiful tradition. So they don't actually become their teacher's teacher, but they become like a mentor or tutor to their teacher. And they allow this little boy or girl to learn back some of the things that they learned from the last lifetime from them. It's a beautiful way of transferring. There is a retreat in Tibetan Buddhism, 3 years, 3 months, 3 days. This is the traditional length of the retreat. In fact, I was inspired by this to create a 3-year, 3-month, 3-day course, which is actually going to finish in a few weeks. We've began this 3 years back. And when these tulkus go for their first 3-year, 3-month, 3-day course retreat with their teacher, they're very excited to learn advanced meditation techniques, advanced practices. They're really excited to enter this retreat. Little do they know that their entire first retreat will be spent on Bodhicitta. And what is Bodhicitta? Bodhicitta is a strong wish that may I practice for the benefit of all beings. May I practice for the benefit of all beings. By my practice, may all beings benefit. This is Bodhicitta. So you could think of it as an advanced compassion practice, karuna practice. And while I'm not trained in the Tibetan tradition, but there must be some affinity because a lot of Tibetan practices make intuitive sense to me. So today I'm going to be guiding you in a Bodhicitta practice. I see Bodhicitta not as just something that you do. I see it as an intelligence all of its own. Like, for example, I don't see love just as an emotion. I see love as an intelligence all of its own. So Bodhicitta is also an intelligence all of its own. It's very, very high intelligence. It's more about tuning into Bodhicitta than it is about generating Bodhicitta. This compassionate wish that may my practice be for the benefit of all beings. May all beings benefit from this. Known and unknown, seen and unseen, near and far, visible and invisible, large and small, human and non-human, in all dimensions, in all densities, in all levels, in all hierarchies, in all possible destinations, may all beings benefit from my practice. It is perhaps one of the most exalted thoughts you can have. We can have all kinds of thoughts as we go through our life. And Bodhicitta might be one of the most exalted thoughts. That I'm literally willing to, in the most advanced form of Bodhicitta, I'm actually willing to postpone my own enlightenment till the end of time for the benefit of all beings. It's like, think of a person who escapes from a prison and he's not content to enjoy his freedom. He says, I shall keep returning to the prison. I shall keep returning to the prison to help others escape again and again and again. It doesn't matter how long it takes for every single prisoner to escape. Even if it takes for the rest of eternity, I shall keep coming back to the prison to help other prisoners escape from this prison. And the prison, of course, is not a conventional prison. It's a prison of our ignorance. It's a prison of our own confusions. Just feel a sense of settling in this moment. Feel the weight of your body. And just inviting Bodhicitta to activate within each one of us. You don't have to necessarily make a vow to keep coming back for the benefit of all beings, but tune into this intention. This intention is very powerful. That may my practice be not just for myself, but for all beings. All beings. Not just all beings, but all of all. There's a beautiful saying that God sleeps in the rock, dreams in the plant, stirs in the animal, and awakens in man. In other words, everything is just a density of consciousness. The rock will crumble to become soil. The soil becomes plant. The plant becomes animal. The animal becomes human. And the human awakens to the oneness of everything. At least that's a possibility. So activating Bodhicitta in all our hearts, a tiny flame, a tiny spark. The beginnings of this beautiful thought. May my practice be for all beings. So something as simple as right now, if you're on this call, that means you're alive. Even if you're watching the recording, that means you're alive. If you're alive, it means you're breathing. If you're breathing, then that's a privilege, because we know at these times, there are thousands upon thousands of people who are struggling to breathe. So Bodhicitta says, as I breathe, may my breath benefit all those who struggle to breathe. What's it like to breathe on behalf of everyone struggling to breathe? Breathe with full concentration. Breathe with full appreciation. Breathe with bodhicitta. Breathing on behalf of all beings who struggle to breathe. So in bodhicitta, any comfort you have, like for example, I imagine most of you can breathe relatively comfortably. Any comfort you have, you share with all beings. Check which parts of your body are feeling comfortable, relaxed. Maybe your hands are relaxed. Maybe your legs are relaxed. Maybe your heart is feeling relaxed. Maybe something else. And if it's feeling comfortable and relaxed or even pleasant, then bodhicitta means may all beings share in this comfort, relaxation, and ease. You've just radiated this experience into infinity. Some of you aren't sure how to do that. It's simply an intention. It's a sankalpa. That's all it is. May all beings share in this comfort, in this ease, in this well-being. Inviting the intelligence of bodhicitta to guide us, every single one of us. Some of you are familiar with bodhicitta. I imagine most of you are not. It's the compassionate wish that may my practice be for all beings. May all beings benefit from my practice, from my experience. Many years back, I was living as a monk, and I had to walk with some other monks through a forest. It was a deep forest. We were walking for 3 days. On the second day, I hurt my toe, and it was bleeding, and every step was painful. But we really had to keep going because it was the deep forest, and we only had so many supplies. So there was no option. So in the beginning, I was cursing myself for being negligent. I'd gotten hurt because of the shoes I was wearing. Not shoes, they were more like flip-flops. And I was kind of blaming myself for having those particular kind of flip-flops. And the usual way the mind goes, blaming and fault finding and feeling sad for myself. But then I remembered Bodhicitta. And Bodhicitta also says that if you're experiencing any suffering, any pain of any kind, then you give it meaning. Pain without meaning is suffering. Pain with meaning, it's still uncomfortable, but it's not suffering. So in my case, the meaning I gave to my pain is, may all those in the whole world who have foot pain, may they be free from foot pain. May everyone in the world with foot pain be free from foot pain. May I be the only one with foot pain. I take on all the pain. And I give meaning to my experience. Every step was painful, but a certain strength came into my spirit. And I kept walking. And we went through all kinds of jungles, all kinds of streams. It was fascinating. The pain was there, but the suffering just evaporated the moment I gave it meaning. It's one of the most powerful experiences in my life, to realize pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So Bodhicitta also means that if any of you right now, maybe you're having a headache, or maybe you're tired, or maybe you have a backache, or maybe you haven't slept well, or maybe you're grieving, or maybe you're having financial difficulties, or who knows what it is. I don't think anyone is immune to some kind of hardship. Bodhicitta means you give it meaning. And one simple meaning to give it is, so if you're suffering financial hardship, if you're the ones where people are calling to say, hey, pay your bills, pay your bills. Now you give it a meaning and say, all right. May all beings in the world who are getting calls like this, who are feeling tight like this, may they be released from their hardship. May I be the only one who receives this. Why? Because you have it anyway. It's not like you're wishing harm to yourself. It's just there anyway. It's a reality, right? You've given meaning to this reality. I take on all this pain on behalf of everyone. And that would be an example of bodhicitta with something uncomfortable, painful, difficult. You give meaning to that as well. So go ahead, everybody, choose something in your experience which is difficult or painful or uncomfortable. Experience it, give it this beautiful meaning. I practice on behalf of all beings. May my practice benefit all beings. May the intelligence of bodhicitta be activated deep in your heart right now. With Bodhicitta, there's a tremendous purification that happens of the mind stream. There's an almost instantaneous shift from generating karma to generating karuna. Karma comes from ignorance. Karuna is the enlightened mind, the enlightened state. Because karuna is based on the realization of oneness as well as emptiness. Breath by breath, all beings who are struggling to breathe are benefiting from your comfort in breathing. Think of it as a kind of tangible prayer. May you breathe as comfortably as I breathe. Any comfort in the body, you share with all beings. Any discomfort in the body or any other part of your being, could be an emotional discomfort, spiritual blockage, it doesn't matter. I take on all this pain. I give you all my gain. Bodhicitta. And the Buddha says that if you're practicing Bodhicitta, thinking you're benefiting others, you're actually deluded, you're confused. And the monk said, why do you say that? And the Buddha said, because there are no others. There are no others. This idea of others itself is the illusion. So Bodhicitta is actually designed to cut through that illusion. Imagine a large bed sheet, and I pinch any one part of the bed sheet, anywhere on the bed sheet. Could be the middle, could be the side, could be anywhere on the surface of the bed sheet. I pinch it. I hold it tightly between my fingers. Now, notice what happens as I start lifting my hand. The entire bed sheet comes along with it. So in the same way, as you practice Bodhicitta, since you are part of this matrix, you're part of this world, universe, whatever you want to call it, your Bodhicitta elevates everyone and everything, which is actually not separate from you. So in this way, you are purifying your own mind stream. When the mind is pure, the world is pure. When the mind is pure, the land is pure. The purity of the land is a reflection of the purity of your consciousness. We imagine we live in the same country, in the same city, in the same home. It's not true at all. We're all living in our own bubble, determined by a state of consciousness. In the same office, one person gets a promotion, he's so happy. The other person missed that promotion, he's so unhappy. Same news, two different reactions. Same movie, some people love it, some people are very disappointed. So Bodhicitta is showing us we are not seeing the world the way it is. We are seeing the world the way we are. Come back to Bodhicitta. We're practicing on behalf of all. May I be a channel of blessings for someone today. May I be a channel of blessings for someone today. May I be a channel of blessings for someone today. May I be a channel of blessings in the world. May I be a channel of blessing. May I be a channel of blessing. May I be a channel of blessing for someone today. A channel, a channel. May I be a channel of blessings for someone today. May I be the clearest possible channel of the highest possible blessings, of the fastest possible blessings, of the deepest possible blessings, of the widest possible blessings, of the most multicolored blessings, of the most loving, compassionate blessings, of the most intelligent and suitable blessings, of the most light-hearted and joyful blessings in the world, in the world, in the world. May I be a channel of blessings for someone today. When I was practicing Bodhicitta many years back, the spontaneous Hindi couplet came up. लेने नहीं देने आए, लेने नहीं देने आए, लेने नहीं देने आए, सेवा देने आए हम, सेवा देने आए हम, लेने नहीं देने आए, लेने नहीं देने आए, सेवा देने आए हम, सब कुछ देने आए हम, लेने नहीं देने आए, लेने नहीं देने आए, सेवा देने आए हम. May I be a channel of blessings for someone today. I am now a channel of blessings for someone today. You are now a channel of blessings for someone today. You are now a channel of this love, a channel of this light, a channel of this wisdom for someone today. Tera mangal, tera mangal, tera mangal hoye re. मेरा मंगल मेरा मंगल मेरा मंगल होए रे. जन जन मंगल जन जन मंगल जन जन मंगल जन जन मंगल जन जन सुखिया होए रे. दसों दिशाओं के सब प्राणी मंगल लाभी हों मेरे. दसों दिशाओं के सब प्राणी मंगल लाभी हों मेरे. निर्भय हो निर्बैर बने सब, निर्भय हो निर्बैर बने सब, सभी निरामय हो मेरे. जल के थल के और गगन के, जल के थल के और गगन के प्राणी सुखिया हो मेरे. मेरे अर्जित सभी पुण्य में, मेरे अर्जित सभी पुण्य में भाग तुम्हारा हो रे. भाग सभी का हो रे. हमारे अर्जित महापुण्य में, हमारे अर्जित सभी पुण्य में भाग सभी का हो रे. दुखियारे दुख मुक्त हो ये सब, दुखियारे दुख मुक्त हो ये सब, सभी का मंगल हो रे. फिर से जाग उठे मुस्कान, सब में जागे अंतर ज्ञान. सभी का मंगल सभी का मंगल, जन जन मंगल जन जन मंगल. सभी का मंगल सभी का मंगल सभी का मंगल हो रे. मैं करता सबको क्षमा, मैं करता सबको क्षमा, करें मुझे सबको, करें मुझे सबको. मैं करती सबको क्षमा, मैं करती सबको क्षमा, करें मुझे सबको, करें मुझे सबको. मेरे तो सब मित्र हैं, मेरे तो सब बंधु हैं, बैरी दिखे न को. मेरे तो सब मित्र हैं, मेरे तो सब बंधु हैं, बैरी दिखे न को, दुश्मन दिखे न को, सबका मंगल हो। समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु, समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु, समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। करुणा 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 सहगतेन चेतसा एकां दिशां परित्वा विहरति तथा तृतीयां तथा चतुर्थं यदि उत्तमदो तिर्यां सब्बति सब्बा तथा य सब्बावन्तं लोकं करुणा सहगतेन चेतसा विपुलेन महत्गतेन अपमानेन अवीरेण अभयापाज्येन परित्वा विहरति करुणा सहगतेन चेतसा एकां दिशं परित्वा विहरति तथा द्वितीयं तथा तृतीयं तथा चतुर्थं यदि उत्तमदो तिर्यं सब्बति सब्बा तथा य सब्बावन्तं लोकं करुणा सहगतेन चेतसा विपुलेन महत्गतेन अपमानेन अवीरेण अभयापाज्येन परित्वा विहरति करुणा सहगतेन चेतसा एकां दिशां परित्वा विहरति तथा द्वितीयं तथा तृतीयं तथा चतुर्थं यदि उत्तमदो तिर्यं सब्बति सब्बा तथा य सब्बावन्तं लोकं करुणा सहगतेन चेतसा विपुलेन महत्गतेन अपमानेन अवीरेण अभयापाज्येन परित्वा विहरति। What I just chanted is the Pali chant for systematically radiating karuna, compassion, in all directions, to the front, to the back, to the left, to the right, above and below, all the intermediate directions. And in a way that is boundless, in a way that's limitless, in a way that's unconstrained, in a way that's unlimited, in a way that's not pinched off by any distortions, purified, liberated, a mind liberated by compassion, a heart liberated by compassion. Your entire being, all last vestiges of selfishness, tightness, what about me syndrome, completely liberated by compassion, and in today's version, Bodhicitta, an even more refined form of compassion. May all my practice be for the benefit of all. May all my pleasure be shared by all. May all my pain have meaning. May all beings be liberated from that pain. To every experience of life, whether it's subtle or gross, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, whether it's narrow or wide, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, every possible experience now becomes a powerful engine for generating liberation. This is the fuel for liberation. Earlier, these experiences were fuel for craving and aversion and ignorance. Wanting, not wanting, not knowing, not knowing. And now suddenly with Bodhicitta, with the intelligence of Bodhicitta, every experience has meaning. When every experience has meaning, it is impossible now to be bound. When you see things as imperfect, you are bound. When you see things as perfect, you are free. And how do you see it as perfect? Whatever is arising is exactly what should be arising. It is exactly the medicine I need. It is good medicine. And on this experience, I shall generate Bodhicitta, shall activate Bodhicitta. And this very experience will liberate. When I think of Jesus Christ on the cross, I see Bodhicitta, and he's been pinned on the cross and he's bleeding and he's suffering. And he says, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This is Bodhicitta. In that moment of agony, in that moment of pain, he converts that pain into Bodhicitta. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. This is pure Bodhicitta right there. One of the most important teachings I came across comes from the Mahayana Sutras, where there's just actually very, very short teaching, but it made a big impact on me. It says, if you want to be a Buddha, do not practice many things. If you want to be a Buddha, do not practice many things. Practice one thing. What is that one thing? Practice Mahakaruna. Mahakaruna means great compassion, the same as Bodhicitta. If you want to be a Buddha, do not practice many things. Practice one thing. Practice Mahakaruna. Because one who has Mahakaruna has all the Buddha's teachings, all the Buddha's wisdom in the palm of the hand. In the palm of the hand. So if you practice Bodhicitta, if you cultivate, activate, lean towards Bodhicitta, all requirements for your complete unbinding, unraveling, and liberation are contained right there. Nothing more is needed. Nothing more is needed. Everything will be supplied. It'll be like in the palm of your hand. Wherever you go in this world, I mean, the truth is you never go in this world. The world keeps playing its game in front of you, but nevertheless, for conventional purposes, wherever you go in this world, it'll be the right place, and there'll be the right people, and the right conversation, the right teaching, the right thing will happen. It'll be the most perfect transmission and reception. Nothing is out of place. Nothing is out of place. Years back in one of my retreats, someone said to me, when I shared something similar about the power of intention and the Brahma Viharas, including Karuna, someone said to me in my retreat, she said, my father seems to have practiced this his whole life. Because when someone would be sick, he would go and sit in that hospital. He wouldn't just go and show his face to look courteous and to the social thing we do. He said he'd go and sit outside the hospital room and he'd spend hours visualizing them as already healed, radiating loving kindness towards them. So he'd make the effort to go to that hospital. He'd make the effort to sit outside that hospital room, and he'd just radiate loving kindness, compassion to the person who was inside that room and all other people in that hospital. I was very moved by that story. And he never expected anything. He didn't just go to show his face. He went there to actively be a presence of healing. Be an active presence of healing. I saw a video a couple of days back about this man who, in a small village in Assam, has converted his motorcycle into a kind of an ambulance. He's added a small attachment to his motorcycle and like a stretcher. And in places which are so remote that even normal ambulances can't go, he's been saving lives for years. That's Bodhicitta. He's not a medical person. He's a farmer. He lost his mother because she couldn't get medical treatment in time. And he made a promise on his mother's body. He said he put his palms on his mother's body, which was not fully cold yet from death. And he said, I promise, I will not let others suffer and die because of lack of medical attention. And that's a great example of Bodhicitta. And he would do whatever he could. He would take people on his motorcycle. Then he made an attachment to his motorcycle. And later on, as he got more funds, he actually built a small hospital in that village. All because of Bodhicitta, not because he's a nurse or a doctor or a medical expert. Years back, I had taken a group to Bodh Gaya. Close to Bodh Gaya, there is a special place where a person called Dashrath Manji lived in a village, which again it was not accessible. The closest town was quite far away. And his wife got hurt and he couldn't give her the medical attention in time. He made a promise to himself. He said, I will cut through the mountain that separates my village from the closest town. Instead of having to go around the mountain. First of all, of course, he tried the usual thing, talking to the government. And you know how it is in our country, talking to the government. Everyone promises things, nothing really much happens. But he was not an ordinary, he actually walked. He walked along the railway line. You see, he's a poor farmer. He can't afford train tickets. He walked along the railway lines from his village in Bihar all the way to Delhi to talk to the Prime Minister. Can you please build a road between my village and the closest town? And just to prove that he walked, he took a signature from every station master along the way. And of course, he was denied a meeting with the Prime Minister despite having walked all the way. So he walked back. And he said, if no one's helping, I'll only do it. He began spending all his time breaking rocks on that mountain. People asked him, what are you doing? He said, I'm making a road. I'm making a road through. And they all laughed, madman. He didn't stop. He kept going day after day, day after. Even his own wife thought he'd gone crazy. 22 years, that man worked. And they asked him, what are you doing? He didn't say, I'm making a road. He said, I'm breaking one stone. Ek samay par ek patthar tod lo. If you say I'm making a path through a mountain, it's overwhelming. Ek samay par ek patthar tod lo. At one time, then he was breaking one stone. And sure enough, 22 years later, he had made an entire path through this mountain. You saw a real example of the power of intention, Sankalp Shakti, cutting through mountains. And I actually had a chance to go there. And it moves you to tears to see such a large road has been cut through this mountain by one man. Of course, towards the latter part, a few other people began helping, but most of it he did by himself. And he says that he wasn't doing it for himself. He was doing it for his village. He was doing it for his own community. They all laughed at him. He kept going. This is Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta can literally cut through mountains. If he was doing it for himself, he would not have had that kind of tenacity, perseverance. 22 years, hammering away in the hot sun. It brought tears to my eyes to see all those. You could see the chisel marks from high up all the way down to the road. Day after day, chiseling away, 22 years. And now there's the road. Buses and cars and everything can go through there. So you and I may not be cutting through mountains like that necessarily, but we all have our own mountain, don't we? Ek samay par ek patthar tod lo. At one time, break one stone. Don't underestimate the power of a 0.1% improvement. No effort on this path goes wasted. And imbue your practice with this special quality of bodhicitta. You're practicing not just for yourself, you're practicing for everything because it's really true. It's really true. You're not just a part of this world. This entire world depends on you. It takes a very deep miseducation to come to believe that you are a body and mind, to come to believe that you're a part of this world. When the reality is, you have never moved an inch in your life. Everything around you has been spinning. You've not aged a day in your life. The mirror, of course, what's the reflection of the mirror will keep on aging, but you have not aged. Don't you feel as young as you always have, no matter what your outer age is? So very deep miseducation has happened. And that's also not a bad thing. It's designed for you to wake up on behalf of everybody. So Bodhicitta, Mahakaruna, great compassion, practicing on behalf of everyone and everything in existence. This might just be the most exalted thought possible. In the realm of thoughts, I can't think of many thoughts beyond this thought. The highest thought. And then beyond this, you go into the silence beyond thoughts. So for those of you who are attuned and receptive and ready and ripe, then may this seed of Bodhicitta be planted right in the middle of your heart. And may it start converting your life stream, which so far might have been based on creating karma, dark karma, middling karma, light karma, but it's still karma, right? The sense of doership. I am doing something. I am experiencing something. And with Bodhicitta, something really changes. It goes from I am doing to it is happening. And when it is happening, then who will take delivery of the karma? So it shifts from karma to karuna. Karma to karuna. From actions that have a residue, which has to be returned to again and again and again and again. The residue never seems to finish. To that which is complete in itself. This session is complete in itself. It has no residue. No positive karma was generated. No negative karma was generated. No neutral karma was generated. It was complete in itself. Purnamada Purnamidam. Purnat Purnamidachyati. Purnasya Purnamadaya. Purnameva Visheshyati. This is whole and complete and perfect. That is whole and complete and perfect. When you take what is whole and complete and perfect from what is whole and complete and perfect, what's left is also whole and complete and perfect. Nothing in excess, nothing in scarcity, everything exactly the way it needs to be. Not a single word was out of place. Not a single action was out of place. Everything was exactly the way it needed to be, and it is, and it will be. This is the attitude of Bodhicitta. So for the first 3 years and 3 months and 3 days, you and I have practiced for less than an hour today. But these Tibetan tulkus practice Bodhicitta for 3 years and 3 months and 3 days. Their first intensive retreat is only Bodhicitta. That is the foundation of every other practice. Without that, every other practice is going to miss the mark. It has to miss the mark. Wonderful teaching from the Tibetan tradition, the Vajrayana tradition. Of course, it's found in many traditions. This is where I got it from. So homage to all the teachers, the masters. Homage to all who have kept this lineage alive. So it's available to us now. It's not kept alive by books. It's kept alive by the flame in our hearts, the flame of Bodhicitta. And today, may this flame get passed on to many more of you who are receptive, who are intuitively in tune with what has been shared here. And if it's meant for you, if it's right for you, there is no choice. It is automatically activated. And it'll inform the rest of your life journey. It'll start slowly and yet surely eating up, burning up all the last residue of distortion and confusion and misperception. Leaving behind only what is light and what is bright, and everything is right. Very nice. If everything is in its place, how do you explain what is happening in India right now? Does it have to be explained? You're looking at it from a very human perspective. Look at it from a planetary perspective. Look at it from a galactic perspective. When you look at it from a human perspective, you will always have things that are going nice and not going nice, isn't it? So we, of course, we take care of each other, but we have to realize we are living in a very disconnected way, disconnected from ourselves, disconnected from each other, totally disconnected from nature. There has to be correction, and this is correction. And you may not like it, but that's the way it is. You don't always get what you like in life. So come to the perspective of awareness, come to the perspective of witnessing, come to the perspective of bodhicitta, like we talked about. And you will not require this kind of logical reasoning. You try to force fit some philosophical explanation on why things are happening the way they are. There have always been upheavals. A little bit of reading history and you'll find this is not a new thing. Humanity has for the longest time suffered wars and inquisitions and epidemics and natural disasters. And comparatively, what we are going through is actually very light compared to what previous generations have gone through. So let's not be naive and expect that you will always get what you like. That's not the way this world works. Whatever comes, you see it as good medicine. I love this teaching. It's all good medicine. It's designed for me. I may not like it. It may be very unpleasant. It's exactly what I need. It's exactly what I need. This life, this world is not interested in our comfort. This world is interested in our awakening. Awakening from the illusion and the dream of who we think we are, waking up to who we really are. That at least is what makes sense to me. Beautiful, everybody. Be well and take rest. And we continue our daily practice at 10:30. Be well. Thank you. Namaste.